population numbers so we can better manage harvest.
You mentioned that Ontario was doing the trawls also.
Yes.
How do they share their information? I mean, are they?
One thing I didn't talk about, and I really should have, but I didn't want to take too much time up, is there's a really great interagency management process. Ontario, Michigan, Ohio, Pennsylvania, New York, we all work together. There's a Lake Erie Committee that's formed under the Great Lakes Fish Commission. And within that Lake Erie Committee, there's a walleye task group and a yellow perch task group. All the agency work together. We all submit harvest data, trawl data, survey data. We do a fall gillnet survey every year of adults that's outside of any harvest survey. So all these data sets are combined and run through the model. And obviously they go into the data set, you know, we can look and see where every data set came from. They're in the data set as Ohio data set, Ontario data set, Michigan data set. But all the data runs through the model, and then that produces the population estimate. So Ontario standardized their trawling just like we did. We actually spent 1 week back in 2003 where every research boat on the lake was at South Bass Island in Clinton Bay. And every day we went out and trawled 5 or 6 boats across. And we literally calibrated our trawl catches to each boat and each net so that we're comparing apples to apples. Obviously, each jurisdiction trawls in their jurisdictions, but we know relative to each net how they fish compared to each other. So there's a lot more interagency management than most people believe. I mean, the quotas are set based on what all agencies combined feel a safe harvest level is. And then each agency gets their portion of that safe harvest level, and you know, Ontario decides to allocate it mostly to commercial fishermen. That's fine. If they're following their allocated quota and staying within it, it doesn't matter if it comes from sport fishermen or commercial fishermen. As long as we're all harvesting what we together agree is a safe level, that's how it works. Yeah.
You say that when we have offshore flow from here, we have bad year classes.
Yep.
Does that mean Canada, our bad is their good year?
I don't know how specifically they looked at those. You could still, because of the complex currents, you could have offshore flows in both areas. I don't know how much specifically their reefs were studied, just because generally it's accepted that the Ohio reefs are one of the largest spawning populations. It doesn't mean their reefs don't contribute a whole bunch, they might. But when they looked at the Niagara area currents and how well it lined up with the resulting year class, whatever factors are working on those reefs are nearly similar on those reefs, because it wasn't like there was a great year class and an offshore flow year for Niagara. So whatever factors work there must be similar up there. Yeah.
Travis, what's the percentage of walleye that spawn Main Lake versus the rivers?
I have absolutely no idea. We've said anywhere from 80 to 90% Main Lake, 10 to 20 rivers. But even more important than how many individuals are spawning in those systems, the more interesting piece that we don't know yet is how much do each of those systems contribute to eventual harvest. So it might not be...
You mean as far as recruitment
right
into the fishery?
Yeah, we don't know. We're starting to get some tools where we can pull a fish out of Ashtabula in July, use a laser and shoot the core of the otolith and know what water mass it was formed in when it hatched. So we can get some idea if it was a maumee fish, like a Sandusky fish. Maumee and the reefs kind of blend together because they're a similar water mass. But that's a big question. What stocks contribute what percent to the lake-wide population in the summer? We really don't know right now. It's pretty clear that the larger population is Main Lake reefs, either Ohio or Ontario. But the rivers are clearly important, and maybe some years the rivers contribute more than the Main Lake. We don't know the actual size of the individual spawning stocks. I wish we did.
Do you also record non-sport fish records?
We do a lot of things on that trawl that aren't shown up here. We literally, when we pull in a trawl and dump the fish on the table, we sort it by species and age class, and we measure up to 30 of each species and age class. We've got a presentation alone that's only the August trawl results. So yeah, we're looking at everything. Obviously, a lot of our time goes into the quota management species, the perch and the walleye, but we're recording everything when we're out there.
about these spawning fish that are coming up the Mississippi?
All right, what's going on with the Asian carp? What about
Is there
this?
enough money there to control that or not?
That's a big political question right now. I just told a group yesterday that I know very little about Asian carp, and I hope it always stays that way, because if I know a lot about them, it's because they're here. There are 3 or 4 species. They are very big fish. Some of them approach 100 pounds with the one species. They're very highly reproductive. Some of the Asian carp species produce up to 2 million eggs per female. They're very reproductive, they're very large bodied, and they specifically destroy the bottom of the food chain. They're a planktivore just like a whale is. They eat plankton, so they would love to be here. My hope is, even if they get into Lake Michigan, which they clearly have, there have been individuals collected past the barrier.
Well, I thought they were supposed to close that gate.
Well, there was a move to close the locks, to cut off the canal functionally. The president passed on it. He wouldn't sign an emergency bill that would have closed it immediately last month. And then the Midwest states literally sued. I don't know specifically if it was the Army Corps or the state of Illinois, but there was a lawsuit against the people that control that to get an injunction and immediately close it. The judge passed on it. The lawsuit is still active, but the gates were not closed because the injunction was shot down. Bottom line is that system is open and there are fish past the barriers. Now hopefully, being planktivores and needing warm productive water, they really find Lake Michigan and Lake Huron inhospitable to them. I can tell you they won't do well in Lake Michigan and Lake Huron from what I know. If they get to Erie, they certainly could do well. So right now it's a political issue, and a lot of people are working on it, but the only answer is shutting that canal, and it hasn't happened yet.
Has any of them been caught later?
No, not reproducing numbers. I want to say there were a few individuals over the past 20 years that we're seeing, but it's pretty clear there aren't any spawning populations yet, and if there are, it will come from Mississippi. That's the only way numbers of them will get here. We have seen some rudd lately. Anyone ever seen a rudd? Looks like a goldfish. It's about this big. We've actually had some of our commercial trout netters catching rudd lately. It's like another ballast water introduction. They've been found in Erie before, and we don't even know that they're reproducing yet. These could just be individuals that were dumped and that survived. But every year we see something new, whether it's pacu, piranhas, rudd, we see it all out there. Take one more.
Travis, you're